I think he was like talking about our pairing together because we both bring something that the other can't. I bring some stupidity
Okay, so
that
now
you don't have, and
yeah.
yeah.
So
Go on.
now here's the real question: is whether he said the best passing duo in the world named Milky and Rebel. There might be another pair somewhere that we just don't know about, which is the problem. Maybe he's actually slighting us, perhaps, and he's very disappointed with our existence in this
Are
game.
we
Maybe that's the
are
play.
we just fake Rebel and fake Milky? Is that
Maybe
what's
they're
going
fake
on?
Rebel and fake Milky, but they just got better than us. Maybe that's how it works.
Maybe
Yeah.
this is fake Team Secret because this is not the Team Secret that we've been seeing so far in Summer Split, not even in Spring Split. I think you put it very well earlier on, Rebel, that this is the worst we've seen Team Secret looking all year, since Winter Split, in fact.
Yeah, they might be a fake, but I guess that's a secret. Yeah, I take the low hanging fruit. I'm unapologetic about it. That's fine.
No, don't apologize. That was good. I don't get what people are like, oh, you made a pun. It's like, just because you couldn't think of the pun yourself, don't knock others down. Puns are cool.
I think it's more so that people get angry because they can think of puns, and it's like somebody takes the low hanging fruit and they're like, okay, everybody thought of that, which is fair. Like that's an understandable aggression here, but it's not going to stop me from saying it because it's funny.
Everyone knows that you could say secret, but it's how you execute it, right? The best jokes can be simple jokes, but it's all about execution and the build up to them.
I suppose. Just like the best team compositions have all this build up to it, right? And they have all this kind of eventuality to them in some future to them, which is what Team Secret has drafted more so, I think, in this game than they had in the previous two games, which was it's not even just a game of scaling necessarily, but the fact that they have more agency to begin with, but then you also have Eddie on something that's a lot more team fight focused, and you have Artifact on the Azir. It feels like better champions than what they were equipped with in previous games. Is once again, Saigon Buffalo's bottom lane off to a very quick start of just putting some aggression into this bottom lane.
In fairness, this time it is Eddie on the Zeri, and I feel like Aphelios has a little bit more lane priority than Eddie does, but we saw it in Game 1 when Shogun was playing on the Kalista and Eddie was playing on Aphelios, and it was Shogun just running the show. And now, again, I feel, especially with Taki being on the Seraphine, there is so much poke that can be coming through from the Saigon Buffalo bottom duo. But now we're seeing Penguin looking towards his top side, trying to find an opening to gank onto Hasmet.
Might find it as well. So he's got a little bit of space to work with. Although Hasmet's got, cookies, he's got grasp to work with. He's also got Flash still in hand, ready to work with. As Penguin find another avenue. As Penguin might jump over this wall, try to go over the Raptor wall. The Froggy, he kind of puts himself to a very good position to not be punished by that, as he has to continue backing off. As Penguin does get spotted out by the tower. And they were looking for something. It's a lot more active than Penguin has been previously, which is a nice thing to see inside of a series like this. Because again, Penguin has been pretty silent for the first two games. Played the Nocturne, played the Viego, both champions that like to scale up more than they like to kind of fight to begin with. And it has caused some strife. And so in this game, the Wukong already looking a bit more active, looking a little bit more vicarious than we had seen previously inside of the series for Team Secret.
I like that word, vicarious. What does that mean?
Just like more lively, I guess, is a quick way to summarize what that's supposed to mean.
Oh, that's a nice flash Q from BJ. We've seen this over multiple series. BJ on this vibe, pulling off some really nice mechanics. Now, Hero has teleported to the mid lane outer tower, making his way over, looking for the body slam. Won't be able to find the CC onto Froggy. Do Team Secret want to aggress any further? Because Hasmet is on the north side of this river, making his way down. And now Hero has been left to himself. And now it's Artifact who's teleporting to the tower, looking to turn this into a 3v3. But Team Secret won't go any further.
Not quite the same winning situation we've seen from Saigon in a number of circumstances, but they actually have pulled both TPs from solo laners. They got the flash out of Artifact. They've had a couple of good plays right there off the back of BJ just being very aggressive on the Vi pick, which you can appreciate because, again, BJ, Game 2 was a little more silent. I don't think he's had a bad game necessarily in either of these. The Pantheon was absolute masterclass. I will give that, but didn't look the same level of dominant in game number 2. And so already on this Vi pick, wanting to make some impact, has been able to do so as they're going to pincer Artifact. The E, fortunately enough to get him out, not really under any risk of that situation going poorly. And BJ hopefully will open some space for Froggy to find yet another back potentially in Artifact. For free, just go back, get some additional items, and come back to lane without having to worry about getting continually chunked out by Artifacts this year.
To be honest, I can't really blame BJ in the previous game because you mentioned that maybe he wasn't as aggressive, didn't have the same impact as game 1. But then again, by the time he probably wanted to make his first gank, Shogun on the Draven was already 4-0. So
yes,
what can you do in that situation as a jungler to make it look like you're impactful?
Yeah, I mean, there's always other places on the map, and eventually I think both of them started leaning to elsewhere, just trying to make things happen, right? It was eventually Penguin that kind of stepped into like Artifact a little bit, but eventually it just kind of fell to the wayside, didn't do anything, and BJ wasn't ganking for bottom lane. He said, okay, top side's already got enough, so let's just worry about other places on the map, and eventually went top lane to help out Hosmid a little bit, set him up for some better success in the later stages, and maybe that's the play eventually here. I actually, okay, we're getting a lot more brawling than I would have expected. It's double kind of, soak lane here where like Hero can play tanky or can go AP, a little better AP. I think Gragas is in the top lane at the moment. But the Ornn is something that I really loved them picking up. When I saw this composition from them, I was like, wow, it would be really cool if they had Seraphine ultimate, they had Aphelios, they had a lot of like really lanky engage from Vi and from Lissandra. You either need something that dives alongside those two or something with a very long range engagement to work with. And so I was like, okay, Malphite I think works in this and does pretty well, but it's not great into Gragas. And then you pick Ornn, it's like, okay, he's going to scale. He just sits in laning phase alongside the Gragas. There's not much the Gragas is going to be able to accomplish. So late game, you're going to be able to hand out some of those Ornn items relatively freely. And again, that very long range is the thing that I really appreciate about this pick specifically, is BJ once again in the mid lane, freeing up some space for Froggy to not have to worry about Artifact just continuing to bully him off the wave.
This is risky because Artifact has a level 6 right now, and neither Froggy or BJ have level 6, which means that you don't have any free CC onto Artifact.
There's level 6.
And the Emperor's Divide could be big, and as you mentioned, Froggy gets his ultimate now.
But this is far and away the closest the game has actually developed to begin with, right? Like, it's a 500 gold lead, but that's not much for the side of Saigon Buffalo. Definitely a far cry from what we've seen in this series already, where Saigon has stepped out to very quick gold leads, very dominant laning phases. Now, out of fairness, I think this is the quietest composition that they've drafted so far, right? Game 1, they had the Pantheon. Game 2, they had the Draven that just kind of smashed the laning phase. And now it's the Aphelios. Now it's, the Seraphine. It's the Ornn. It's a lot different of a laning phase.
Artifact looking to make the play onto Froggy, lands the Emperor Divide, in comes the Penguin, the self-ult from Froggy, but he's taking so much damage, forced to flash away, the Ignite ticks down, and it's BJ who picks up first blood, still has the Cease and Desist available, throws it down onto Artifact, no summoner spells, and it's BJ with a double kill.
And spectacularly played from Froggy to kick things off, and just with that E usage, pulling them very, very far up, and then using the ultimate, using everything to stall for time, kill off the minions, I think, as well, to buy space for BJ to kind of come in right there and find a kill up against Penguin. And in the 2v2 in the mid jungle, it's been tough so far for Froggy. He's been getting poked out by Artifact's Azir, which has been playing amazingly so far in this game, but it's the 2v2. It's that skirmishing power that Froggy has always been known for, and this is a perfect example of it, where he kind of lives through this situation that could have been really rough, steps out in, presses the ultimate, and this is where, again, the chain CC between the two is really amazing, flashing out the other side, not taking the soldier, and then, of course, the ultimate. I mean, that cease and desist pulls him back into Lissandra's passive, which was probably, the end goal of what you wanted to have happen there, as BJ, again, having a split and a half. I think BJ's winter split was so bad that, like, at one point, I think it was easy to fall off the BJ hype train. Even last split, I don't think he had the greatest of performances, even though the team ended up in second place. But this split has really stepped up as being another contender for a top 3 spot. I think if Saigon hasn't established their positional players as being some of the best in their roles this split, I don't know what it would take for you to be convinced of such, because they really have done incredible things.
We make the comparisons to BJ and, a flower or a hibernating animal, because he was not around in winter. He was either hibernating or he was, a deciduous tree, I think it's called, as Hero teleporting to the bottom lane. Explosive Cask has been used. Who is tanking up the tower? It is BJ. Very nice beat drop to lock down Hero, and all of Saigon Buffalo are in the bottom lane. Hero will be able to survive. The high note will not land. But there's going to be a wave crashing in, and Taki just doing his best to poke Hero down as that wave makes its way to the tower. Good sidestep again on a beat drop, and Hero is sidestepping everything, but there are 4 members. There's nothing he can do, and in the end, Shogun will get the kill. But on the top side of the map, the Rift Herald has been dropped down, and Team Secret have had so much time, and they're going to get so many plates and so much gold.
That they will. Hazard will stop the second tower from going down, so there's that to talk about. As Team Secret was able to find a kill against, I think it was Hazmed, as they flooded the top side and the cross side of the map. This is the first time that Team Secret has really been ahead of a play that Saigon has made. Hazmed was trying to leave, and Penguin had Rift Herald here to drop with Zuhao and Eddie, and it meant that they got the first tower of the game. Now, who got the kill? I didn't actually see. It was Penguin that ended up with the kill, as they juggled the tower aggro really effectively. And again, the Rift Herald nets them first tower of the game. I think if the tower goes down on the bottom side, it's still a winning play for Saigon. They got quite a bit, especially because it goes exclusively into Aphelios more than anything else. But still, it's the first time that Team Secret has really found something on the other side. Most of the series has just been Saigon taking something and giving nothing back pretty much the entirety of every game so far. And so this is where Team Secret has officially broken into the territory of, okay, at least we can match something that they've done on the other side of the map.
It's the first time where we've got to 10 minutes and the game hasn't already felt over. And I think saying getting to 10 minutes might be generous because I feel like the games have been over even before 10 minutes.
Yes, I agree with that. You could be generous and say, okay, maybe 10 minutes, but that's about as far as you could possibly go, is saying like 10 minutes, maybe there's still some competitiveness, but that's about it. But this game, I mean, we're separated by 1.3, okay? There's some scaling still in the carries that come through from Team Secret. A decent amount of gold got dropped into Eddie, not enough to be the same as Shogun at this point, but at least enough to be like a pretty decent team fighter when needed, especially on the Zeri pick where you've got all this mobility. You have a chance at actually winning out team fights with Eddie in a position like this, where like you're at least close enough to be within shooting range of where Shogun is at. That is, of course, until he pops red, white, and just destroys Eddie's health bar with a single auto attack with like 9 chakra.
Quick question. Is this the first objective that Team Secret have got all series? Actually, we'll hold that thought because BJ is on the flank looking for that potential cyclone. Has Froggy here as well. Could be finding a mega frozen tomb, and he's going to lock the Gragas down in place. However, it's a shutdown for Penguin, who finds a kill onto BJ. Penguin now on the run. Froggy looking to go in. Look how low Penguin is. The bailout will be propped, and he will eventually fall. Flash forward. The handshake will land. Shogun will die. Eddie gets a kill over the wall. Now he's looking towards Saki. Hero and Joao taking so much damage. Eddie lockdown flashes away the high note. Eddie's still alive, but Froggy will be able to find one. Now he looks for Juhao, lands a CC, and Juhao will fall as the final eye shot picks up a double kill for Froggy.
And it's such an incredibly close fight that ends up coming to fruition. And I have to give, we'll talk about it in the replay because we get everything else comes back to us eventually one way or another. As it's Saigon Buffalo kind of ripping and tearing their way through a team fight, not nearly as dominant as they had previously, but there are a couple of really bright moments, I think, for both teams inside of that one that does bode well for some of the future. And one of the members I have to unfortunately give a bunch of props to is Eddie. He positioned so well at the top of this fight. Look at this, he's just constantly dropping damage. He's the reason they did very well to start with, but it's Shogun's positioning versus Eddie that I think is really the contest here. It's a twofold kind of problem that ends up happening because Shogun getting driven out by Eddie and by the rest of this team is great, but it opens up Froggy's ability to kind of kill the two members at the bottom side of this fight, and that's the problem. They put so much focus into making sure Shogun couldn't do anything that they didn't actually pay attention to the Lissandra that ends up cleaning up the rest of the fight anyway. So on one hand, I think they did a great job shutting down the primary team fighter and allowing for Eddie to use this topside positioning better, but unfortunately it wasn't enough because they weren't concerned with the threat on the bottom side of the fight that Froggy ends up using very effectively.
BJ getting caught out, used the cease and desist, but Penguin will not fall, and it's a kill for the side of a Team Secret. Does their playoffs start here? Is it here in Game 3 against Team Secret so that they start to mount their challenge, not just for the VCS title, but for that world spot?
Oh, maybe. Maybe not, actually, because
maybe not.
That's a great flank.
Get popped. Here it goes. A big explosive cask, but the charm will land onto Eddie. Drops down the lightning crash and will survive. Cyclone onto Froggy. So much damage goes golden. Penguin forced to run out away. And Eddie will die, but not until he finds a kill onto Shogun. Penguin able to get the kill onto Taki. Not able to sidestep on the Call of the Forge God artifact, making his way over. Has the Emperor's Divide, and this Orn is left with nowhere to go, and this should be an easy kill. There is a little bit of a burn. Artifact looking for the kill. BJ doesn't have an ult, but does have the flash available. The blast cone won't come through in time for Hazmed.
And superior team fighting, once again, an insane display from Team Secret, being able to be resilient after all things. And after 2 really dominating games from the side of Saigon Buffalo, it is Team Secret who's put their foot down and started performing to the best of their abilities inside of this game. I thought it looked like an amazing beginning to the fight because Froggy found this incredible flank to get 2 members basically stuck up in just one place. But once again, it's the damage coming out from Eddie that really makes the difference. Shogun's not quite powerful enough at this point in the game to really take over a lot of the fights that are coming through. And a couple of members are doing some great things. And again, this was the flank from Froggy where you find Zuhao basically immediately inside of this one. The Duskwave as well to really combo onto Hero almost made the difference. The ultimate from Hero, however, at the last second, puts Shogun out of position, lets Eddie kind of do damage, and he doesn't quite fall to that ultimate. The Moonlight Vigil from the Gravitum or from the, everything else coming through was just not enough. And I want to give props to Taki, too, who played this fight immaculately as the support in this situation, very nearly carrying the end of this fight to be incredibly worthwhile. This was where Hosmed stepped in to kill Penguin. He was getting followed by Artifact. I'm so shocked that Hosmed went for this. This feels like such a brain empty type play where Hosmed is just like, okay, I can kill Penguin, doesn't concern himself with the Azir that's following him whatsoever. It feels like a needless kill that's just given over for nothing.
But this is Team Secret starting to look like a team. I don't know what happened between Game 2 and Game 3, but whatever secret we're talking about, whatever secret plan, it is starting to work. And Saigon Buffalo are going to have to work for this win, for this series win.
Yeah, the important bit, I think, they need BJ around to contest the position of Eddie really badly inside of these fights because you need the lockdown, you need the immediate kind of one-tap CC immediate move because otherwise you've seen in a couple of fights now that Eddie has just been able to pop the lightning crash and win out in situations. The DPS battles against Shogun have been won just barely by Eddie in like 3 fights in a row effectively. That might change when Shogun's got the chance because he dumped a lot of his abilities at the beginning of that fight before he ended up coming through, but we'll see if that's a continuing trend as we walk further and further into the game here. As Team Secret, again, defending Eddie and making sure that he's got space to just throw in autos on this Zeri is a pretty mean team fighting strategy that they can definitely work with because they've been doing it so far in the course of this game. But with Saigon Buffalo having as many divers as they do between not only like Taki being able to position against backline, but Froggy, BJ, Hosmed all have ways to attack the Zeri. You do have that on like a future kind of understanding thing of, okay, does this work eventually when the game kind of breaks down to that point? Like, does Eddie's positioning end up getting punished by Saigon Buffalo? Can Shogun kind of carry the front end of the fight against the tank Ragus, against the Wukong? We end up getting our culmination of what was supposed to be a really mean ADC versus ADC battle over the course of the series that really has just been dictated by this bottom lane of Saigon that finally we get our kind of magnum opus here.
Mid lane, outer tower, cracked open. That's 2 towers for the side of Team Secret. And things are going a lot better than they did in the first 2 games. Coming into this playoffs, Rebel, we were talking about how, GAM looked by far and away the best team, and we were thinking, the only close series that we'd see would be Saigon Buffalo against Team Secret. And after the first 2 games, that looked completely wrong because Saigon Buffalo looked a class above Team Secret. They still look like they are in some kind of control of this game. They've been able to pick up 2 Drakes. They could look for that 3rd Drake in a couple of minutes' time and take themselves towards Soul Point.
They do. I really appreciate the way, though, the Team Secret's been side laning and just making sure that his ear is farmed up very effectively. That's something that hasn't really been happening over the course of the series. It felt like Artifact hasn't really been in a perfect place to be winning out in the majority of these games. And this is a position where it feels like that is entirely the case, where you do have finally Artifact kind of coming online. He's got the crown. He's going to be a little bit further out from some of the itemization as everybody else. He hasn't been in participation with some of these team fights nearly as often because he's been in a side lane. But is going for the DPS build, is going for like Conqueror and Asters, that type of thing, wants to be a hard carry for the team, and another player that you have to concern yourself with on Saigon Buffalo for pressuring on a dive, pressuring with some of your longer range type engage abilities. That does come very, very heavily with a lot in the later stage of the game, whether or not Artifact can actually put out damage alongside Eddie. And in my opinion, we're also tracking quite a bit of Shogun, because again, Shogun's got to do the heavy lifting when it comes to damage on his team against some of these frontliners. And so I really want to see what Shogun's got cooking up here when it comes to build. I want to see like LDR. LDR is going to be super valuable in this game. Infinity Edge, when he breaks under 3 items, I think that's the point where Saigon's fight is going to be the most menacing, because then you can tear through the front to back type team fight, because you can contest the position of Eddie and Artifact with all these long range ultimates. And so Team Secret have to find an answer. If they keep giving up dragons and they give the ability for Saigon to just have full control of when dragon fights happen, they do run the risk of potentially losing out, positioning battle and just losing a big fight that could lose them the game as well. That was
Teleport
a bold
towards the
teleport.
bottom lane. Is that Froggy or is that Harsmed? It is Froggy. The teleport will come through just before the tower falls, but it is still another tower to Team Secret, and it is Saigon Buffalo's final outer tower that will drop off the face of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, I think it was a bluff call from Team Secret where they say, okay, Froggy can't really do anything here, even if he ease in, even if he press his abilities, we have enough members here that it's not going to matter. And it was Froggy's attempt at trying to push them off bottom tower so that they couldn't take that objective, couldn't get that gold in their ready for their team to use on items before this next dragon comes up, because they have only about 20 seconds until the dragon is going to spawn. They just took resets on just about every single member of Team Secret. 3 of them only just now walking out of the base, as Nashers has been completed from Artifact. And that means that they have given up positioning of the river, but Saigon Buffalo is down 1.5k, and now that gold has been spent very effectively by this team. Keep your eye on BJ. He's in a great position around the side of the fight to go with, and you've got, again, a ton of engage tools from a distance from Saigon's team that they can use effectively to run through a fight like this.
Keep your eyes on Harsmed as well with that Call of the Forger God. Artifact is going to be making his way over. That Emperor's Divide could be a massive tool, but the eyes are on the Drake. Can Saigon Buffalo take themselves to Soul Point? Ooh. The Mountain Drake will reset, and no one has started the fight yet. What is that initiation tool going to be? It's going to be the Call of the Forge God into an explosive cast.
Wow.
The Forge God won't get knocked back. Cyclone comes through, and Jogan is taken solo. He's out of this fight, and another Cyclone. BJ forced away. Harsmed over the wall, and Team Secret get the Drake, and Team Secret find a kill as well.
And it is a flawless use of the ultimate from Renata that Zhu Hao uses in order to really, really staunch everything that came through from Saigon Buffalo. I was talking about how many tools that they've got to work with when it comes to diving into the backline, and none of them were really used in that fashion. They were instead, I think, posturing more for the dragon than anything else, but it's just going to bleed over. A Baron as well, almost certainly here. BJ's got a little bit of difference to cover. He's going to get spotted on his way in, almost certainly going to get blocked away.
Hero, that is massive! And the jungler for Saigon Buffalo is down. Team Secret find themselves the Baron Nashor.
And they finally get themselves into a position where they get some kind of fight win in the grand scheme of things. But look at this again. I'm looking at the Renata ultimate. Not only is the Seraphine ultimate and the Ornn ultimate propped and ready for everything, but they deny the Ornn ultimate as well as set up for a Wukong dive in the midst of multiple members, and it drives them out of the pit. It means that Froggy is left abandoned on the other side of the fight, and multiple members flashing over the Dragon Wall just to get themselves out of dodge. Again, it's such a perfect ultimate from Zhu Hao to thwart everything that Saigon was looking for. Because again, if that old ultimate comes down and you can prevent, Penguin's dive from coming in, everything else you can kind of follow up with Froggy. You can, put damage in from Shogun, play that front to back. Then things work out very effectively for you. But unfortunately, that's not how it plays. And instead, Team Secret, they jump off to a 4K gold lead, their first real, tangible, actual gold lead inside of the series.
This game is not going to be a 3-0 stomp. Team Secret want to play, and they are not going to fall over backwards for Saigon Buffalo. They find themselves with a Baron Nashor and a chance to extend their goal lead even further. But Saigon Buffalo are, of course, not out of this game just yet. They do still have plenty of windows to be able to get back into the game, and you were highlighting earlier, Rebel, just how impactful Shogun can be once he picks up a few items.
Yeah, the LDR is done, so he can do damage against some of these frontliners. Big flank angle potentially from Froggy and BJ on the left, as they're trying to prevent this ultimate from coming through. Moonlight Vigil from Shogun just completely whiffs and doesn't hit anybody. Probably would have tagged 3 members in the right circumstances. That's an ultimate from the Ornn. They're going to try to catch people.
Got a 2-man knock-up, and they go in. Zhu Hao is already dead, but BJ will fall as well. A 2-for-1 in favor of Saigon Buffalo, but Saigon Buffalo want no further action. They're happy getting a numbers advantage, but Team Secret aren't done yet. They still have Artifact and Eddie alive, their main damage dealers, but they're going to be forced to back away, just looking to pick up a few objectives. But in the end, it's Froggy's Ice Shard that steals the red buff away from Penguin.
That it is, and a couple of members, again, using these longer range ultimates, using some of this engage from Saigon Buffalo sets up for 2 kills onto Shogun, which is exactly the member the gold needs to go into. If everything else goes completely awry in a fight, if you buy space for Shogun to step forward and put in damage, he's going to carry this game. He's shown the propensity to do that over the course of the split. And you saw it once again on very, very rapid display here for Saigon Buffalo, where they find a couple of members on the front side. And once again, it's Zuhao whose ultimate kind of stalls everything in its tracks. But the 2 kills that end up coming through for Shogun means such a drastic swap from the beginning of the game, where now, if Infinity Edge gets completed, then Shogun might start winning some of the DPS battle. It's so good combination of an Ornn ultimate alongside everything else. And notice, Shogun didn't get tagged by the Renata ultimate, which was the big member you need to make sure it doesn't have any follow-up. Taki had already thrown the Seraphine ultimate, so the other direction would have been better. As Zuhao tries to cancel yet another engagement out, but he can't catch all of them. He's played very well so far. That counter engage tool has been filthy. Unfortunately, he just gets the worst end of that trade.
Both supports have a very similar ultimate when you kind of think about it, just that Taki's one is longer and doesn't cause the enemies to start murdering each other, but they're huge tools if either side gets a little bit too aggressive with their engage.
That they are. Okay, Froggy here just to defend the wave, just to defend the tower. Nothing too crazy. They want to try to keep their kind of inner towers up, not only for defensive gold, but also for defensive flank angles when the time comes. Because, if the tower is still available, then they can keep up Froggy, they can put BJ over the wall, things like that. It's a really tough position to find yourself in to lose these structures, because it means that when pushing comes later, you just have less, space. Your wards are going to be pushed back even further. TS's wards are going to be pushed up further. And that means that they're going to lose. As Hosman and BJ tried to find the pick onto Hero right there, just too tanky, able to get away. And now that's multiple members that are just gone. The base is pushed. The wards are pushed up really far as well. As Team Secret should have pure access to the Dragon, especially with those 2 engage ultimates going down. There's basically no chance that Saigon decides to contest this anymore.
He's being chased down by members of Saigon Buffalo. He can jump over the wall if he needs to. Maybe he's just zoning them away. We do see that from time to time from Zeri's a teleport coming through as well. Team Secret looking for a potential play. In the end, Taki will use the Shurelius to allow Saigon Buffalo to run out to safety, and Team Secret will turn their attention towards their second Mountain Drake of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be top tower that's given over to Saigon Buffalo. They're going to take that one as opposed to try to contest for the Dragon, which again, so much space has been given over to the side of Team Secret. I'm not shocked about this at all. They're only going to capture that one tower. It's just going to be a little bit of gold. That's going to take the gold back to 4,500, something along those lines. Saigon trying to stay within damage distance, within gold value of what this team fight necessitates. And in a lot of ways, again, it's Shogun I'm paying attention to. He's on 4 or 3.5 items at this point. To be able to pour gold into him, which is why, that top decision was a little strange. Hosmed also needs to find a way to get extra gold in this game, or extra experience in this game, because only just now is he getting the first Ornn items kind of started to get upgraded. And the faster he can get Shogun's faster he can get Shogun's Gale Force upgraded, the better that this game is going to be. The faster than this gold gap is going to get closed by just the Ornn items coming through. And so again, the longer this game goes, the little bit easier that it does get for Saigon in terms of being able to catch up with some of the scaling now.
Do you think that this is a situation where Team Secret do outscale Saigon Buffalo, or do those ornaments make it even once we get to 6 item points?
I don't think that there's an easy way for anybody outside of Penguin to try to contest Shogun's position. Like, he's the only diver. Or obviously, if you're close enough, you're close enough for Artifact and Eddie to put in damage. But honestly, Shogun shouldn't be doing that. Instead, should be hitting Hero and Penguin and anybody else standing on the front side of a fight. And there's so many ways for Saigon to try to contest the positioning of Eddie and Artifact that in terms of scaling damage, it's absolutely 100% going to be the Zeri and the Azir that are going to win out the battle. But when it comes to scaling in a team fight and being able to use that damage, I feel like Shogun's going to pump out a lot more than those two combined, which is why it's so important to figure out ways in order to get Shogun damage, and conversely, how to contest his position as Penguin or Zuhao using his ultimate effectively to deny him from access inside of a fight. Ooh.
Good beat drop
okay,
on
not
it.
gonna take it.
And onto the Warrior Trickster. And this game might be coming down to our 2 ADCs once again. Games 1 and 2, Shogun completely had the measure of Eddie. It was not even close. Eddie stepping forward here in game 3. Explosive Cask lands onto Froggy, but in the end, he is able to take the Glacial Path out to safety. And Team Secret, not forcing a fight. They're just poking around, and now they're looking towards the Baron because they know BJ's down to half health.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be if you're BJ. They're going to have to worry about the fight, though. That's the real concern here.
Is this the moment? Call of the Forge God has been used. And that's going to be Hero already out of this fight.
Oh.
Moonlight Vigil doesn't really land onto many people, but that is Artifact already out of this fight. What can AD do? Absolutely nothing. He's trying to kite back from Shogun, but Shogun is massive! With the chuck bombs, the moonshot lands! And Eddie is shut down. Saigon Buffalo win the fight.
Bot diff, baby, let's go! Ultimates get burnt at the front end of that fight, and basically nothing is left on either side, and so Shogun just gets to run absolutely wild through the midst of this fight, hitting anybody within his range, and there's nothing that this team can do about it. I think Team Secret honestly might have been better suited to try to pump out damage into the Baron, because it was down to 4,000, but they shifted everything away. I'm looking at two things. Number one, Eddie only just put damage into this fight, has not thrown a single auto attack quite yet. Artifact as well is just like too far away with soldiers. This is the engagement. And Eddie, again, trying to put in damage, he misses a good number of his shots and just has to back so far away that he can't do anything. And that's when Shogun just smells blood in the water, goes aggressive, flashes into the opposing ADC, and absolutely rips and tears through this team in incredible fashion. Love the way that Shogun has been playing so confidently inside of this series. And right there, turning the game in Saigon Buffalo's favor significantly. Baron buff is going to be theirs, probably third Dragon as well. And now the team is beginning to scale. Once all the tools were down, it's really nice and really easy for Saigon to play a front-to-back fight. So Team Secret are now the ones with their backs against the wall. They're ones with the first round life. They're going to have to go to the losers bracket if they lose right here and right now. And they don't want to have that happen. They want to continue contesting Saigon's position in this game, want to continue playing this one out.
That moonshot from Shogun at the end of the fight was just the icing on the cake to snipe down Eddie. But Team Secret, they are still in this game. Artifact has just been able to pick up the Rabbit on Seth Cap. That previous fight didn't burn the flash, didn't use the ultimate either, and had practically no impact. It was a very bad fight for Team Secret, and I feel it's not one that's representative of what happens if these two teams have equal setup for a fight.
I agree wholeheartedly, but the problem is now you've given up so much back to the side of Saigon Buffalo. Like, how do you actually get that fight back in your position is now they're looking for it again.
They're looking for Eddie. Takes so much damage, but he's over the wall. He's safe, or is he? Shogun is doing damage, and he still has a Guardian Angel as well. Penguin gets the top, but Shogun is still alive. A 3v4, 2-for-1 for Saigon Buffalo. Jungler for jungler, but Hero dead as well. And Saigon Buffalo are going to back away as Team Secret collect this wave. But the critical thing is Shogun still has that Guardian Angel untouched.
Yes, he does. It came down to the wire there. Shogun, he's got Onslaught. He's going to pump it into the tower.
The handshake was big, but not big enough, and the Empress Divide doesn't hit onto anyone. Artifact forced to flash away. How much damage does Eddie have? Hazmed chunked out low. Froggy goes in, hit by the handshake, but Zhu Hao will fall. Eddie trying his best to kite away as Saigon Buffalo continue to siege forward. They pick themselves up an inhibitor, and now they march their way over towards the Mountain Drake.
It's an incredibly mean usage of tools at the front end of that fight, but again, it feels like the Team Secret's frontliners are just paper when all this damage is coming through from Saigon Buffalo, specifically to Shogun, but to anybody else. And it means that, again, so much of this fight just gets peeled away at the beginning for Team Secret that it means that Artifact and Eddie have to play absolutely perfectly in order to make anything happen. So that cracks so much. It means mid tower is going to be constantly down. That means inhibitors are going to come through. This is an ultimate from BJ as well that puts him really deep in enemy lines to try to get onto Eddie. Got denied by that wall, which was really good. And I thought Eddie could carry this fight. I thought right here was when Shogun was going to die. But again, Onslaught, Red Gun, this much damage. So easy to just not die. No Guardian Angel burns. And it's what allowed them to kind of step up into this tower, allowed them to step up and pull this mid inhibitor off the board for the side of Saigon Buffalo. And again, who's standing in front of you here? Eddie and Artifact are basically full health. They're feeling fine in this game. But unfortunately, it just doesn't matter. It does not matter in the slightest. In fact, were it not for Hazmed missing this E onto Artifact, honestly, this fight might have been the end of the game right now. I don't know that they would have had enough with Artifact down to defend against the onslaught of the Baron buff push in the mid game. So thankfully, Artifact, not going down, Hazmed missing that knockup was huge to keep them in the game. But now, everything kind of teetering here for Team Secret is you've got, Mountain Soul kind of lurking. You're down to a gold deficit. Taki is in the game. Shogun is a beast in this game already. Has already been dominating fights. You have to find some kind of way to get your ADC, to get your mid laner in position to put out damage significantly. Otherwise, the game is lost and Team Secret falls.
Rebel, very quickly, do Team Secret take us Do Team Secret take us to game 4?
Hell no.
Hell no. Things aren't looking good for Team Secret. They had the lead momentarily, but now it's Saigon Buffalo who have the goal lead, who are on to Soul Point. And it's Team Secret who are already an inhibitor down their mid lane, exposed, and Saigon Buffalo pushing waves in towards them.
It didn't look like Froggy got spotted. They kind of caught him coming out of mid lane, but they didn't catch him anywhere until right now when he's on the ward. But he can threaten underneath this tower all day long. Artifact has to come here just to make sure, and they get Husband under the tower.
Good explosive cast, but look at the encore from Taki. What can Eddie do? Looking towards Froggy, flashes over the wall. BJ on the run as well. But Eddie once more flashes forward, picks up 2, and a double kill for the Zeri. And Team Secret have life yet.
And that's heroics from Hero, 100%, knocking Hosmet out of the fight. It was an attempted salvage from Taki just to make sure that the fight could actually be attempted at, but unfortunately, I don't think Shogun was in position to really start punishing members before the fight was just completely stripped away. They're going to try to run it up mid lane just as quick as possible. Their wave is small. You see if Taki and Shogun are able to clear it effectively. Well done by Taki, as that's going to be the wave cleared. And it's a question of whether or not they can last for 20 seconds without anything else. Shogun has to do some heroics. Taki has to do some heroics. And Team Secret, they do fear what happens from the bottom lane. These two are incredibly powerful, and they don't think that they can win the game off the back of just that one push. And so they end up leaving now 15 seconds before the Baron comes up. And they have to be very careful, because if they leave the map completely, they're going to give up positioning for Baron. And that means that Saigon Buffalo can step right up outside of going down, push out this mid wave, which is what Shogun and Taki are doing at the moment, and they can walk into Baron pit, and it means that they have to get fought. In fact, double TP sets them up.
Froggy and Hosmed looking for the flag, and now they're looking to Hero. Can they turn this into a 5v4 for the Baron? Hero ends up dashing in the wrong way. Surely it's going to fall, but Eddie is now here. Can he keep his top laner alive? Big old core, and it lands onto Hero. Hero will fall, but look at Eddie. He is firing out the bullets, but is it enough? Shogun over the wall. Eddie, Guardian Angel will get popped now. Shogun in 1v3, but Team Secret are being annihilated, and it is Saigon Buffalo who get 4 kills for nothing, and that might very well be the game, Rebel.
What an insane tempo play coming through here from the side of Saigon Buffalo. They catch them completely off guard to the fact that Team Secret have to remain on the map somehow to have Baron presence, and they just get caught out because of the double TP from the wards that were left. They think they're just going to close the base right now. TP back from Artifact is the only thing that can keep them from winning, but I think they've got too big of a wave. I think this is just done.
It's all over for Team Secret. In the end, it's a 3-0, and Saigon Buffalo are 1 series away from heading to Worlds.
Oh, Team Secret really made this third game look like it was a competitive one for 100% of the time. Those first 2 games were so defeating from Secret.